All right, so I took a lot of flack because I ranted at the end of Tech Linked about some of my issues with Rise of Skywalker, with one of the big ones being, spoiler alerts. So not really a spoiler, but it's a small spoiler. Okay, so one of my main issue with, that's hard to say main issue. One of my main issues with Rise of Skywalker being this, just pulling new Force abilities out of a drawer or your butt or a pocket whenever you need one in order to solve a problem. And I took a lot of flack for people saying, well, actually, if you read the comics and watched all the shows, no, hold on. If you read all the comics and watched all the shows, you would know that there are established times, like Force healing was established here and Force this was established there and blah, 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 blah. So my problem with all of that is that, right, and one of the most like QED MFer posts was, well, it's always been that way. In A New Hope, moving things around with the Force doesn't exist. It's only this ability to be superhumanly reactive, so better reflexes and to know what's going to happen before it's going to happen. We can communicate over long distances and with the dead. It guides us. It's a mystic thing. It binds the galaxy together, and that was really about it. And then early in Empire. So this was their actually, when Luke grabs his lightsaber with the Force, that's pulling Force abilities out of his butt. And then there's Return of the Jedi when there's Force lightning out of the butt. And then you've got, the prequel trilogy where they pull lots of Force things out of their butt. Okay, here's my response to that. All of that made sense because in A New Hope, Obi-Wan really, he's like an old man and you look at him trying to fight Vader, like he's barely even standing at this point, okay? So the fact that he doesn't still, do double flips or whatever, you could kind of make an argument there. Luke is still learning how to use it. He's a novice. You can introduce new Force abilities with Luke Skywalker throughout the original trilogy without it being a continuity error or breaking the rules of the galaxy that they've, laid out at all. As for the prequel trilogy, with the exception of just phenomenally stupid things like R2-D2 suddenly having a jetpack, when it comes to Force abilities, well, yeah, you've got literal, gigantic schools dedicated to studying the Force. All of that knowledge was, lost and stuff. Of course, they could do stuff that didn't exist anymore later.
I had a bigger issue, and we talked about this. I had a bigger issue with magnitude.
Okay, we can, yeah, sure, that too. So it ties into magnitude, though.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So here we are. We're in the future where all that knowledge was lost and stuff, and all those users were lost. And then there was this period where, no, the entire Force did not concentrate itself into one individual. Okay, so that didn't happen. And then we're 20, 30 years in the future, and we're still pulling new abilities out of our butt, even though all those many for thousands of years, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice. Thousands of years. We lost all that, but now within a couple of decades, we've got, Jedi Masters suddenly being oh yeah, sure, I'm a Jedi Master or whatever, even though I didn't finish my Jedi Knight training, so however that works. And I just... It drove me nuts because even if you've got these comic books and you've got these shows that have established this stuff, you haven't established how Rey ended up being able to do it.
The only reason why I'm not chipping in more is because I know we can't stay here forever.
Yeah.
I was just explaining for people watching.
I don't know. It drives me crazy because it takes all the stakes out of a conflict or out of a problem. When you know that just, I don't know, sure, the Force or something.
I watched a video recently on it, and I thought his explanation was pretty solid. It was actually a video about the Clone Wars animated series because they're releasing a new season soon. I'm really excited about that. And they went off and said okay, so the original series is the foundation of your house.
Right.
The prequels, it's kind of like the door and some of the siding, some of the stuff on the outside. The Clone Wars animated series is like the structural beams inside the house. And then Disney's series is like the you live, you laugh, you love sign on the wall.
Okay.
And I just thought that was great. I just really liked that analogy. It's really good.
Like, it's pretty.
It's a nice, the calligraphy is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that they could have. I don't know how I would have fixed it. That's the bottom line.
By the time you're on that one, you're just kind of screwed. And this is something we
talked about.
Yeah.
Like, the pacing of the movie was terrible because they were trying to
stuff.
tie up 2 entire random series of events worth of movies, random events and random characters, utterly meaningless events and meaningless characters, and they're just like trying to tie it all up in like one movie, and then also stuff has to happen in that movie, and like Kylo Ren is a terrible villain. His arc is just terrible and boring. I mean, you know what? I had a disagreement with, I think it was either David or Riley about, spoiler alert, about bringing back Emperor Palpatine. They were like, that was the worst thing they did in the movie.
Palpatine, okay.
Palpatine, whatever, I don't care. So they said that was the worst thing they did in the movie. And I said, I think it was one of the smartest things they did in the movie because they had no villain with any gravity whatsoever.
Who is it going to be?
No
it's
one.
Not Ren.
It's not Snoke.
Yeah, he's gone.
So what could they possibly do? And there's been interviews, like George Lucas apparently told Ian McDiarmid, I can't remember, I don't know how to pronounce his name, whatever. He told the actor that plays Emperor Palpatine that he was dead when he got thrown down the shaft in Return of the Jedi. And so he was like, oh, I was surprised to like be alive again and stuff. But like, what else could they possibly do?
Yeah. It was a mess. I think bringing Palpatine back was fine. I didn't have very many issues with that part of him being back in general wasn't a huge issue for me. His like God lightning, yeah, that was.
So I'm not well enough to walk on my own,
but
like 1 minute later, you know, no problem. I hated how important lightsabers were.
Yep. Lightsabers should be super cool, but they should be a conduit.
Yeah, they don't have power. Yeah. They're just a laser sword. Han Solo can wield one. They're like, what? It would have made more sense to me if Rey had just like gotten Force Lightning zapped and then just like blasted it back at him or something. That would have made more sense than like, no, one lightsaber is not enough to stop a Force Lightning attack, but 2? Not to mention that it's from some guy that just disabled the entire sky. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's like
Mace Windu blocks it.
Like if you're a 10-year-old,
but
it's like, yeah, that was like super badass when Rey was like, but that's it. It's like it was written by a 10-year-old for a 10-year-old. It's like they had kids in the schoolyard. Like, remember what it was like when you're in elementary school and you're like, oh man, like, wouldn't it be cool if like you had like a jet plane, but it like was like
also
so
a
big,
dinosaur,
and then it like hit the school and it like blew up like the whole block, but no one was there and we just didn't have to go to school for a week. That's how much sense the action sequences in Star Wars Rise of Skywalker make.
And I think there's like, okay, yeah, so Mace Windu blocks Force Lightning with his lightsaber, but you can tell it's taking an extreme amount of force to hold it back, and I think there might be a little bit of like Palpatine was letting him because he wanted Anakin to have the moment.
Yeah,
because that was an extremely important moment. Mace Windu even sees the shatter point of that moment, but he thinks it's him taking down Palpatine. He doesn't think it's Anakin interrupting because he doesn't know why the shatter point's there. Anyways, yeah, no one cares. But
all right,